Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hello everybody, it's Adam Martin here, and welcome back to another instalment of the Now Review. The Now Dance journey once again continues, and this time we're looking at this album, The Very Best of Now Dance 2010. And this album followed hot off the heels of our last review, which was Now Dance albums. Again, there's some similarities. We've gone with 3 CDs, and it is in a fat box, which I can show you a little bit later. And even though we've kind of gone with a combination, we've gone with the year is now back, but we've also gone with like the very best of, which is an intriguing combination. I'm surprised they didn't just call it the very best of dance, although we did have an album like that about 5 years ago in 2005, so maybe it was time to do it again. Maybe 5 years was a good time frame. And oddly enough, some of the previous 2000 releases, so say in 2006 you'd have Now Dance 2007, it was the year ahead. Not this one. This one came out in the year 2010, so I'm expecting a lot of 2010 tracks on here. The cover art is very interesting. At first I was trying to decipher what those spheres were, if they were disco balls or meant to represent speakers, and I think it's sort of pick your poison. I think you can really look into it either way. But again, the tube design survives, of course, the tube design. Very Now Dance indeed. Just shimming it on over, as you can see. Fat box style. And in 2010, downloads were starting to pick up, so the fact they still released this on CD, CD still had a decent foothold back at the start of the last decade. And here is the track list. 3 discs. Let's have a look. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really hate it when Now albums do this, where it's in this paragraph style, but it's not in columns. At least in our last review for Now Dance Anthems, it was in 3 blocks like this, but at least they were all columns, so they were easy to read. This is horrendous. It's just a sea of pink and white, and it's awful. Now, I did have a quick skim of this, and yeah, it's a lot of 2010 tracks. I mean, just look at that first CD there. You've got Kylie Minogue, you've got Lady Gaga, you've got Roll Deep. Like, you just look at some of these songs, and a lot of it is 2010. And looking at CD2 as well, they are including more 2010 stuff. I mean, they've got Written in the Stars, one of the biggest hits of the year for Tiny Temper. I used to love Tiny Temper. Great artist to see live as well. Neo's on here with Beautiful Monster. That was one of my favourite songs from 2010. I think I pre-ordered that single and album, actually. So yeah, they're very much going with what was a big hit in 2010, which, I mean, that is the idea of the album, so they're really meeting up to it. And for good measure, down there is CD3. Now, I think 1 or 2 of these tracks, not all of them, are from the year previous, from 2009, which is absolutely fine. I mean, again, maybe some songs weren't included in Now Dance Anthems, which did come out in 2009, so they're making up for it. And maybe they just want a flavour. Maybe there weren't enough dance hits that they thought could qualify for a 3-disc release in 2010. So I don't see any harm in going back. I don't think that's misleading, do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure a lot of the biggest hits of 2009 were still sort of carrying on over into 2010, so is that a problem? No, I don't think so. I think that's perfectly reasonable. So yeah, if you're getting this album, you're getting a huge dollop of 2009 and 2010. So that is the album in terms of the look and the track list and the whole fat box style, but I'm going to crack this open for you now, and we're just going to see what's inside. So here is the first part of the fat box. It's very similar. Well, it's exactly the same as Now Dance Anthems last time. You've got a reflective logo. Don't like reflective stuff. I think everyone knows that by now. But, a lovely pink disc, very much in line with the pink that's on the cover, so at least they've got that. You've got the back of the booklet there saying, win 10 CDs. Just go to this website for your chance to win. Hang on, I thought a few Now reviews ago we were going to be winning up to like 50 CDs. They're skimping out. I mean, I don't know how many people entered that competition. As I say, downloads were starting to become more prevalent. They weren't like fully the norm just yet. That would take another few years. But, do people really want to win 10 CDs? It depends what CDs they are. But, that challenge is long gone. And here you have discs 2 and 3, which probably aptly, have that reflective stuff going on again. But now they are black and white. Black's certainly part of the cover. White, you're borrowing from the logo. But, I mean, the primary colours of the front cover were probably pink and black. So, yeah, going for white was probably the safest choice they could have done. Again, in terms of disc design, don't like the reflective stuff, but the colours are definitely nice enough to the eye. So, is this album worth it for you? Well, as I said, the vast majority of the track list is centred around 2010, quite aptly so, and a little bit of 2009, whereas the last review, Now Dance Anthems, was sort of a compilation of dance hits, say, from the 90s to the early 2000s to the late 2000s. This is very strictly, like, one main year, 2010. If you didn't enjoy the pop/dance music scene in 2010, you ain't going to like this album, but if you do, it's absolutely great. It's a great mix, actually. I mean, again, I'd argue there's not as many like dance-centric genre titles that didn't cross over. The vast majority of these, from when I looked, did have some sort of mainstream chart success, which makes sense. I mean, if you're going to go for that, you want the biggest feel. But I mean, this would signify the end of Now Dance releases for quite a while. The next release wouldn't come for a few years later, which we'll look at next time. But as it goes, this one is a perfect representation, in my view, of just what 2010 was like. In terms of picking it up, it was CD and download at the time. I mean, I paid less than £1 for it on CD, as you've probably guessed. Music Magpie is usually a good place to go, but eBay or flea markets, car boot sales, that'll all do you good too. Just make sure your discs aren't scratched. And that is all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and let me know in the comments. Did you pick up the very best of Now Dance 2010 when it came out, or did you wait a little bit, or are you not going to pick it up at all? Let me know in those comments. Please subscribe to the channel if you're brand new for more Now content, and until the next one, I will see you guys next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, Tobos Krotz, and Polsky Liz, our AMTV staff members.